Hello, everybody. Hope that you are doing well today. We are going to do things a little differently today. Instead of Zoom, we're going to do the notes through this video. And that way you can not only write the notes in your spiral, but also listen to the explanation. I think it's better than me just telling you to copy the notes. We're doing this because our internet is still pretty messed up at the school. My Zoom meetings in first period just did not go very well. We were kicked out all the time, and so we're going to do it this way today. So this is the last set of notes. This is part 4 for Unit 2. And in today's lesson, we're going to look at the rise of Santa Anna. If you remember, we talked last class when the Texans wrote the Turtle Bayou resolutions that Santa Anna was kind of their guy. He was somebody who had promised to restore the Constitution of 1824, to repeal, parts, or if not parts, all of the law of 1830. He was a guy that the Texans really supported. So we're going to look at him a little bit closer today and look at the political scene in Mexico and see what changes with Santa Anna in regards to his positions and why this leads to further trouble between Texas and Mexico. So when you look at the Mexican government, there's really two groups that have formed since the beginning of their independence, the Federalist and the Centralist. And they have really two different ways of looking at government power. The Federalists want a government system that is very much like the American system. Mexico is just like the United States at the time in that they have different states. So you have the entire Mexican government, the national government, and then you have different regions or states that also have government. And the Federalists want a system where those states really have more power than the national government. They have more of a direct impact on people's day-to-day lives. By having stronger state governments, you are weakening the national government. The Federalists also want to separate the Catholic Church from the government, which is very controversial in Mexico because the Catholic religion is so dominant. The Centralists favor a very strong national government, where instead of having many different states, you would have one leader and pretty much all decisions go through that leader. They want a strong church presence in government, and they also want a strong military presence in government. If you were to compare the Centralists, it is very much like a European monarchy. You might not have a king or queen, but you would have someone that is basically a dictator that all decisions run through. When Mexico first gained independence, the Federalists are the ones that took charge. They're the ones that wrote the Constitution of 1824. They are the ones that allowed empresarios from America to come to Texas. Most of the Texans who had come had entered during the Federalist regime. In about 1829, the Centralists are going to take over. They are the ones that send Mier y Turenne to Texas for the report. They are the ones that pass the law of April 6, 1830. These are the group of people, the government that the Texans kind of run into trouble with. Okay, Santa Anna is a Federalist. In 1832, he is going to lead a revolution, and he successfully overthrows the Centralist government. This makes the Texans very excited because they prefer a Federalist-style government. That is what they are used to from the United States. They definitely support the Constitution of 1824. They want the law of April 6 to be repealed, to be taken away. And so when Santa Anna leads this revolution, the Texans are happy. In fact, they start to sit down and discuss what exactly they want to ask this new government to do. Like, what are the things that they want fixed in Texas? They're going to do that through a series of 2 meetings. called the Conventions of 1832 and 1833. These meetings are going to have delegates from all of the Texas colonies, send people and represent that colony to discuss what exactly it is they want. They have really a pretty long list. They want better schools, they want better mail service, they want protection from Native American attacks, they want court reforms. Those are all kind of minor. A big one that they want is they want all of the law of April 6, 1830 removed. And if they can't get all of that removed, at the very least, they want to allow American immigrants back into Texas. They want to allow more Americans to come in. Okay. The big thing they're going to ask for is they want Texas to be its own state in Mexico. At this point, Texas was a part of a larger state, and the Texans didn't like that too much because they felt like their voices were not considered equal to the other parts of this state, and they felt like a lot of the things that they wanted or needed were really ignored. And so if they were their own state in Mexico, they would be able to do a lot of the things and get a lot of the help that they needed that they hadn't been able to get to this point. When these conventions meet and they kind of write their list of wants, they decide that they want to send Stephen F. Austin to Mexico City to be the one to present this to the Mexican government. He is the most respected Texan there is. And both sides think that. The Texans themselves think that Stephen F. Austin is definitely the best person there is for the job. And they also know that the Mexican government really values him and respects him more than anyone else. So it's a pretty natural choice. I think it's also another way of showing and proving just how important Stephen F. Austin is to early Texas. The fact that he is the overwhelming choice to go and do this. So in late 1833, he's going to bring these, demands might not be the right word, these requests to Santa Anna, and hopefully be able to negotiate getting these things done under his new government. When he arrives in Mexico City, it's chaos. Even though Santa Anna has won the rebellion and overthrown the old government, he is not in Mexico City, and he has not started this new Federalist government. There are rumors that he is deathly ill. Nobody really knows. Nobody knows where he's at. There are talks of the centralists kind of trying to regain power since he is not there. It's just confusion. With Santa Anna not there, the lieutenant governor, Farias, is the one that Stephen F. Austin talks to, and he gets nowhere with this guy. Part of it is Farias doesn't have the authority to do any of the things that Stephen F. Austin is asking or the Texans are asking. And part of it is Stephen F. Austin feels like he's not wanted there. Like, why is this guy even here? That's how Farias treats him. I mean, he misses several meetings. He really acts as if Stephen F. Austin is annoying more than anything else. Stephen F. Austin is upset, and he writes a letter to be sent back to San Antonio, basically telling the Texans, look, whenever Santa Anna arrives, I'm going to get this deal done. You need to go ahead and start setting up the state government. Like, I'm gonna make sure that before I leave here, Texas is its own state. Y'all need to be ready for that. So go ahead and do whatever it is that needs to be done so that we can become a state. Before Austin leaves, Santa Anna arrives in Mexico City, and he agrees to meet with Austin. And he gets the feeling from Santa Anna, it's the exact opposite feeling that he got from Farias, is that Santa Anna is very interested in Texas and very interested in what Stephen F. Austin is presenting. And Santa Anna agrees with most everything that yes, y'all do need improved services. He agrees that American immigration into Texas is important, and he promises that he will get rid of the law of 1830. But the one thing that he is not interested in doing is allowing Texas to become a state. He doesn't really give a reason why to Austin, but I think it's kind of obvious in that he didn't feel as if an entire state of the Mexican nation should be made up entirely of Americans. Even though they're promising to be Mexican citizens, they're still Americans. And so Santa Anna definitely would feel very reluctant to do that. And he tells Stephen F. Austin that's not going to happen. Austin is going to leave Mexico City. He's pretty disappointed. I mean, yeah, he got some stuff done and he got some promises from Santa Anna, but the big thing that they wanted is not going to happen. So he starts to head back to Texas, but he stopped and he is going to be arrested. And the reason for his arrest is because the Mexican officials intercepted his letter back to San Antonio. It never made it to San Antonio. It was taken by the Mexican officials, read, it is given to Santa Anna. After Santa Anna has met with him, Santa Anna's furious. You know, how dare Stephen F. Austin tell the Texans to go ahead and get the state government prepared when it hasn't been approved. He's going to throw Stephen F. Austin in jail, and he's going to leave him there. This is very similar to what happened at Anahuac, except for it's not just two spare lawyers, it's Stephen F. Austin that's thrown in jail. No charges are brought against him. There's no trial planned. He's just rotting in jail. So obviously, when word gets back to Texas that Stephen F. Austin's in jail, there's a lot of people upset. There's also a lot of people that want to remain calm. They're like, wait a minute. You know, Stephen F. Austin was the guy that always told us to remain calm. He's always the guy that told us that we should not resort to violence, that we need to be patient, that we are Mexican citizens and we want to remain Mexican citizens. So even though there is a sense of uneasiness, there's a lot of anger, I would say there's a lot of fear. There's also a calmness to the Texans and a patience. Because Stephen F. Austin definitely would have wanted that. Okay? That patience and calmness is not going to be rewarded, though. It turns out that Santa Anna is really he's a very good politician in that he knows all the right things to say. He knows how to really hide his true ambition. All of his talk about being a Federalist, all of his talk about restoring the Constitution of 1824 and being a man of the people, it's just that. It's talk. The reality is Santa Anna is a power-hungry individual. And he said all the right things to get support for his revolution. And then as soon as he arrives in Mexico City and takes control, he is going to try to consolidate power within Mexico, but not for the government in general, for himself. He is going to abolish the Constitution of 1824. He is going to place all states under military rule, and he is going to declare himself the dictator of Mexico. To help consolidate that power, he promises that the Catholic Church will be a huge part of the new government and that generals that are loyal to him in the army will receive high-ranking positions. By doing these things, he really insulates himself from any kind of rebellion because the people that would have rebelled against him would either need the church or the military to help that uprising. And by consolidating his power with those two groups, he's basically guaranteed that he's untouchable. Okay? When word of this comes down and the Texans find out about it, they are going to hold another meeting. This one is called the consultation. At this meeting, the Texans are going to try to determine whether